Alrighty, everybody, welcome. If you're just coming in, feel free to grab a slice of nice pizza. But we will begin with our today's speaker night. So let us begin. So about us, if you don't already know who we are EGADS. We're the Electronic Game Developers Society. We are a group of students at UT interested in everything game development, and our mission is to grow students and foster a welcoming community, one that is very interdisciplinary, community-oriented, professional, creative, and educational. Of course, we really try to aim towards getting students from all different types of aspects of game development. And that's kind of also the importance of like speaker nights, right? To learn about different areas of game development that you may not already know of. And then I'm going to talk about some upcoming events that we have at EGADS. So our big event is coming in about 2 weeks. So we have GDC Squared. It is on March 6th and 7th. And this is a great event. GDC Squared, of course, meaning Game Developers Conference at the Gatesdale Complex. And yeah, there will be a bunch of talks from different people in the games industry. I guess for some sneak peeks, there's someone that was talking that was behind Doki Doki Literature Club and some other cool games and stuff like that. So, we're walking in those speakers. There's going to be a chance to showcase your games, stuff like students that are in maybe in your capstone classes or other projects. You can showcase your own games. And yeah, that's our QR code to register for the event. And also, if you want to do the showcase, artist alley, free food, and a ton of more fun events during the event. So yeah, and I guess no one needs to scan the QR code. That's also posted on our Discord as well if you don't get the chance right now. Upcoming workshops. So we have a Unity workshop next week, Tuesday, February 24th, 6 to 8 p.m. Even if you're not already going to the Unity workshops, you can feel free to come. We try to, be welcoming to anyone at any point. So if you want to learn some game programming in Unity, definitely come by. And yeah, 4.304. We have our karaoke social. We have our social event next Thursday in GDC 4.304, 6 to 8 p.m. Come sing your favorite song, whether any song or a games related song. And yeah, you can listen to others, hopefully beautiful singing during the social as well. And I know a lot of the a lot of the officer team have amazing singing skills. So please witness them as well. And then Dev Nights. So Dev Nights have been already happening every Wednesday, 5 to 7 p.m. GC 2.402. So people in Dev Nights are working on a basically like a semester-long game project. And yeah, it's any skill level is welcome, and you can join at any time. And yeah, even if you're not working on the team, you can come in, work on your own stuff. It's really just like a cool time to like chill and work on game projects. So yeah, come by Dev Nights. And then bake sale. So we recently started a bake sale. I think for people on the stream, my image is covering the brownies, but we are selling gooey butter cookies and brownies. And this is gonna be happening tomorrow, Friday, February 20th, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. On Speedway. Funds will be going towards GDC Squared. I believe the prices are $3 for the cookies, $4 for the brownies. And yeah, this is a really good opportunity to get some nice little snacks. And yeah, we'll probably do more of these in the future, hopefully as they become more popular. And then some opportunities. So our mentorship program is our program that connects people in EGADS, mentors and mentees. So those that are starting out their, game dev experience and career and interest, and then those that are more seasoned. So yeah, scan the QR code. We have a link to our mentorship form. So if you're interested in, meeting other people and just like, learning more about the people at EGADS, then yeah, give that a scan as well. And then, yeah, I'll just give a few seconds for anyone to scan. Awesome. Yeah, and this was something that started last semester, and I think some cool mentor-mentee stuff has happened since then. So yeah, it continues to be a cool program. And then yeah, ways to stay connected. So our social media, we have our Discord, which is our main way we send out announcements for all of our events. Our itch page, so for all of our game jams. Recently we had the KomoriCon game jam, which was really awesome. But any of our game jams, if you want to see the games that have come from those events, check out our itch page, and we try to consistently keep it updated. Our Twitter, our YouTube, where we upload our videos, VODs, and like sneak peeks and cool stuff like that. Our Instagram page, which is where we have our lots of different kind of reels and other announcements. And then our LinkedIn page for sort of the more professional side, right, to kind of network with more industry people. And yeah. And then joining eGads, so eGads to join will be $20. And in terms of benefits, so of course you can come to any of our events, regardless if you're a member or not. But you get exclusive benefits such as our new T-shirt, yeah, things like that. So make sure to contact our treasurer Ethan at Sapio on Discord if you have any questions or want to verify your payment. And yeah, usually when you like order your T-shirt, we just want to also make sure we have your size, things like that. Cool. And then special thanks to our sponsors, Unity, Zynga, Pocket Worlds, Tummy Drops, and recently SciPlay. And without further ado, I'd like to give it up to our speaker, Harrison Foster, who's a community strategist at Devolver Digital. Let's get a round of applause.
Hi, everybody. Oh, sorry, what's up? No, you can take it away.
Yeah, sorry. Okay. Slight difficulties. That's fine. All right, you're good.
All good. Okay. Awesome. Yeah. Thanks again. This is a great org. I want to thank Wyatt for emailing me. Rest in peace, I guess. And all of eGads for having me. This is really exciting. Hi, I'm Harris Foster. I work at Devolver Digital as the community strategist. Also, I see you got Twitch open. Let me know how my framing is. Let me know how the lighting is. If it looks good. Oh, you're all tapping back in. Okay, cool. Yeah, you were doing something else. No worries. So yeah, we're here to talk about community management. It is my job every day to log on and check out all those wonderful social media uh, programs and outlets and all the other various ways the fan community can connect with us. When Wyatt reached out, he said, "Hey, what did you think you could talk? We got these slots." I said, "Yeah, totally can." Thinking about doing a talk about what it's like to manage community and all the soft skills that go along with that. And he wrote back and he was like, "I don't think people are going to be really interested in that." I had to reframe it as like, okay, well, yes, like not everybody is interested in like becoming a community manager in a game dev program, right? Like, is anyone here like hard track wanting to be a community manager? Yo, what's up? We're cool. All right, we're gonna talk later. But this talk actually is for the rest of you. There is not a whole lot of like day-to-day community management that this talk is going to cover. And I did that kind of intentionally. I did this more as like a more broad, like, hey, you're going to get into video games. Here's like a community manager's perspective of what you need to know going in. So I'm going to try to go to the next slide, see if it works. Cool. That's me. Hi, Harris Foster. It's that same photo as before. I've been working in the games for a really long time in the games industry. It's professionally, it's been about 8 years. Um, what year is it? Yeah, 9. Oh, geez, 9 years. And then unprofessionally, it's been a real long time. And we're going to talk about what that means. Here are a few of the games I worked on. Some in there you might know. Tunic up there is just the best. Has anyone played Tunic? Yeah, a few Tunic heads, a handshake of quality control, saying maybe. Yeah, one of our recent releases was Quarantine Zone. That one came out last month. It was a big hit on social media, and we published that one under Devolver. We got Tron Catalyst here. That was a really fun one. I got to work with the great Mike Bithell, indie extraordinaire. Ball Pit. Has anyone played Ball Pit? No, not yet. Is that's a little bit? Okay. Is that like a Game Pass pickup? A little bit? Yeah. Yeah. I'm actually curious. How many Game Pass subscribers do we have? 2, 3? Yeah. Used to. Okay. Cool. I just asked because I think Game Pass is cool. Night in the Woods. That one's awesome. That one's definitely got the most fan recognition. It's the saddest game about animals you will ever play. Monster Train 2, also really good for scratching that deck builder itch. But yeah, a lot of stuff in the indie space. There's so much I have left off of this list. Um, it's it's amazing. Now, community manager obviously doesn't put in like a whole lot of code and a whole lot of art. I bounce from game to game really, really fast at a publisher. Um, but I love each and every one of these games equally, including the ones that didn't make it onto the slides. So let's talk about how I got into the space and why you should listen to me. So the first thing that really opened my eyes to video game development as like something you could do was the Halo 2 bonus DVD that came with the collector's edition. Um, Halo 2 is a great video game. I realize now that like it is considered like really old, and that makes me feel old. And what even makes me feel older is that all the collector editions are starting to rust now because they made them out of raw stainless steel. So that is the passing of time. Um, the collector edition came with this bonus DVD that, among trailers and other lore and interactive stuff, it had this behind the scenes documentary. And it's like I burnt the disc out watching this documentary just over and over and over again. Because it showed me that like, oh, video games don't just appear out of nowhere, right? There are people who are passionate making them. They all seem to be up in the Pacific Northwest. And yeah, it was like I saw these people having fun at work, a concept that like I didn't think was possible. And I knew that's what I wanted to do professionally. Um, and there was a specific part of the documentary that talked about multiplayer play tests, and it featured, this LAN party style setup. What do I need to explain what a LAN party is? We know what that is, right? Yeah. Okay. Um, where rows and rows of televisions and people playing Halo and yelling at each other. And oh, hey, what's up, man? Yeah, come on. We were waiting for you. Yeah, yeah, of course, of course. Uh, yeah, so just rows and rows of televisions, people screaming at each other and yelling and having a good time. And I didn't know it at the time, but like that specific part of the documentary is like what I really connected with, because in my head I was imagining like, oh, someone like had to like organize all these playtests, and someone had to like gather the data and the feedback, and it was someone who got to like measure fun for a living. And that, coupled with like the notion that I knew I was never going to be like have the attention span to actually like make a video game or code, and I can't draw, so this was actually like the last kind of avenue I had to make a video game, uh, because I have no technical or artistic talent, but there's still room for us. um, the other thing that really got me into video games, this is a few years later. So yeah, I got the years up here, but for context, I was in fourth grade. So the grades I was in line up with the years. So 2004, I was in fourth grade. 2007, seventh grade, I loved IGN's podcast series. So they had, it's still going, I think, a podcast called Game Scoop. It was a weekly podcast. And actually, my fiance is here. Could you bring me my tea? I left my tea. Thank you. Yeah, I loved IGN's podcast series. Like you might recognize, that's Greg Miller over there on the right. He's very young, and he doesn't have as good of a haircut as he has now. And yeah, it was my favorite thing because like there was no Twitch, there was no like podcasts were new in 2007, right? So the idea of like someone talking about video games on the internet, there was plenty of like writing. There was, IGN was doing written articles since the late 90s, but to like get to like hear people enthusiastically talk about games with their actual voice was like so novel at the time for me. And so like I would eagerly await every new episode of IGN Game Scoop. And then they started a new podcast. There's Podcast Beyond and whatever they called the Xbox one. And yeah, I would listen to it on the bus. I would just like, that was the best time of the week was when a new podcast dropped. Um, and so in that like obsession, remember I'm in seventh grade here. I went on to the IGN forums, and I was like messing with this like RPG maker software at the time. So yeah, I went on to the IGN forums, and I started a thread, and I was like, "Hey, I am 29 years old. Lie. And I am going to make a fan game about the IGN podcast series." And there were a few like-minded people on the message boards who latched onto this idea, and I was like leading development on this project, and a fellow named Javi Rodriguez, who's like my oldest internet friend, was doing the art. So there's that same image with his art, and we were going to make this RPG game that was all about this super niche podcast. Um, Naturally, as all fan games go, this fell apart. I was outed as a middle schooler fraud who was lying. Um, but the real cool thing is that everyone still wanted to like hang out after it. Like I could have been, ousted as like, oh, this dude's full of shit and he's, dragging us all around to like, I don't know what he's doing, but it's weird. But I kept these relationships going, and it kind of propelled me into the line of thinking that I needed to like really get ready to make video games and to lead video game communities. What's up? What's up? How's it going? No, not for you. No, that's okay. Next time. Um, so, so yeah, it was in this moment. I didn't like. This is obviously something you reflect on like way later, right? But like that kid who like wanted to who was excited about this podcast, like there was no way I was ever gonna make that game. But I did succeed at like getting people excited about this thing, even though it wasn't real. And that was like that's where the fun was for me. Like I spent more time like promoting this idea than actually making the game because I wanted people to be as excited about it as I was. Um, and so, yeah, that actually really is where my video game development career started was as a like middle schooler. I consider that to be the start. Um, so all of that kind of opened me up to eventually get into community management. There it is. So we're going to talk about like what community management is on a broad level, and I'm gonna like start it off by describing it to you how I describe it to non-tech savvy adults who are like, "Oh, you work in computers," and that is I talk to the gamers. I always tell people that community management is like public relations for the customer you already have, and it's all soft skills. Community managers are the ones looking at this really technical problem or a technical product like the game itself, and determining how to convey whatever vital information that the game developers want put out to the players, and like turn that into like readable human language. So community manager is there to help like construct and convey like this exactly, but also like anticipate what the fans are going to be upset about, or they've got the data, they can read the forums and warn the devs ahead of time, like, hey, people are not going to take well to a buff on this weapon. They already think it's too overpowered. Let's move in another direction. Something like that. I mean, there's a million reasons, right? Like we are the people who, celebrate the same kind of joy that I got out of that fan game in whatever game that you are making. And it can be things like building the roadmap, putting this playtest together, pre-release hype, launch day hype. No game ever just comes out anymore either. It used to be you could put a game on a shelf and then someone would play it and then they would be done with it and they would buy another game. Now every player expects that a game purchased is a promise that that game will not be left behind. Um, think about that how you will. I'm not going to say I have an opinion on it. There are some games where I think that makes absolute sense. There are some games where that expectation is like present for a player, even though there is no way in hell that game will ever get more content. Um, but it's all on a community manager to kind of message those channels and message those ideas as best they can and how the developers want them to. I'm scrolling through my notes. Why did I make such big blocks of notes here? Okay, so yeah, the other kind of thing I provide to devs is being a shield for some very strange behaviors. Um, if a game developer had to be the one to go through Steam forums and spend as much time in Discords as I do, and comb through all these things, they would never actually have time to make the game. Um, this meme is a little extreme, but it paints the picture pretty well. I think like you can see this a lot in TikTok videos where devs will be like they put a lot of effort in making videos about like, oh hey, here's how I designed the drifting in this racing game. First I did this, and it's a really nice tutorial, but you realize the amount of time they spent making that tutorial video didn't go to making the actual game. And like I follow a lot of games where I'm excited for the game itself, but I know it's never going to come out because they want to spend all their time promoting and not actually making it. I'm not saying that like the solution to that is this small single indie dev goes out and hires a community manager out of their own pocket, but as companies get bigger, as you get a publisher, things like that, that's a really good opportunity to get somebody in there and say like, hey, I'll handle the fans, you just focus on making the game. um, and then yeah, how do we communicate all of that? You guys already know. It's Discord, it's Steam, it's TikTok, it's YouTube, it's Twitter, I guess X now, and we went too far on the slides. Um, but yeah, it's just all about reaching the players where they're at, and kind of trying to be the one to set the standard for tone and discipline of a space, and um, really just meet them in the middle, where the devs are on one side and the fans on the other. Scroll my notes here. Did I do the flaming soldier meme already? Yeah, okay. Um, and yeah, I mean, I didn't have a graphic for it, but like community managers also somehow become like the like television face for your game also. So it's like speaking skills for if you have to share a couch with Jeff Keighley, things like that. You got to be the on-camera personality, the person at conventions who handles influencers depending on your team. Um, all these things are a community manager's kind of bread and butter. But at the end of the day, you know, what is it all for, right? Like we don't just do this for fun, right? When you get out into the industry, it's about selling the game. So we can make games all we want, and this is kind of where this very singular community management topic broadens out to, I think, be relevant for everyone in this room, is that you can make a great game, and that's awesome. But we're in college, and we need to have dinners, and eventually buy things and have families. So you gotta sell them too, and community management is one key element to selling that game. So for the sake of this talk, we're gonna talk about video game community. Um, and what I just described is the player to developer video game community. And that is what I deal with in the day to day. That is, everything I just described, player to developer. What I really want to like teach here today is developer to developer community. And this is something that we all need to know and that you guys are already here doing, if you know it or not. So before you ever go on to manage a community, before you ever go walk through the doors of any game studio, you first need to establish yourself in the video game developer community. Um, and you can't avoid this. You see people who try to avoid this, and sometimes it works. You got your Balatro guy who nobody knows what he looks like, or you got, uh, the elusive Tubby Fox, who sometimes you can get a hold of. But for the most part, you gotta, kind of socialize and establish yourself in the video game community, and you can't just make games in a vacuum. Um, and I think like, unless you are these like rare cases, um, you you'll find yourself like after it's too late on the outside looking in. And that's the reason why I'm telling you about this today, is because now is really the time um, to be thinking about the things that like are going to propel you forward, and like that. Um, so I think people commonly think of this like stereotypical antisocial nerd when they think about like the people that make up the games industry. Um, but it's actually like a really tight knit group of incredibly social people who enjoy being around each other. Um, and we all like grow together through collaboration. So this is a photo. I went into a Discord that I have with some games industry friends, and I said like, hey, send me photos of you with your game dev community. So I picked out a few. They're scattered about through this presentation. This is D-Cell for the most part. Has anyone played Unbeatable? Yeah, one Unbeatable. Nice. Great group of folks. Um, they, you know, they are my like dream team to work with. And they started off like that because I saw the Unbeatable Kickstarter and I bumped into them at a show and I told them how much I liked it. And now we hang out all the time. If we're ever in the same city at the same time, we will see each other. I'm not in this photo, but imagine if I was. How tight would that be? Um, and, every one of these people in this photo is an individual person who has individual worth and has like proven themselves as someone worthy of being in this photo because of what they've done or how they think or who they are. Um, and that's exactly it, in the indie space, how dev teams form and how collaborations happen and how publishing deals come together. um, I am like, I've spoken to RJ here, who's lead of DevCell, or sorry, DCell, several times. I'm certain we are going to collaborate on something one day. It hasn't come together quite yet, but like, it's just through his, work and through mine that like we have intersected. Uh, so all that to say, the games industry is very, very, very small, super small. Like, this industry is billions of dollars and it spans the globe. But like, everybody kind of knows each other. You should know me. But I'm going to tell you a little story real quick. Uh, I was conducting interviews for a job at Devolver Digital uh, just this last week. And I interviewed 4 different candidates from across the country. And all 4 of them, I had either heard of them before, they had heard of me before, or we had one degree of separation that we knew about. You know, there was someone who lives in the city of my former company. They went to an event hosted by my old boss. One of the interviews I did, I realized midway through the interview that the person I was talking to kept referencing a coworker, and I kept thinking, okay, something's I'm missing something here. Wasn't until after the call that I realized that coworker, I was in his wedding. It's that guy. That guy got married. I was one of his groomsmen, and that just and it well, I that's the games industry. It's so small. So long story short, it's a lot of the same people, and you need to do your best to make yourself one of these people. That's what we're all here for. Um, every single role in the game space, you are going to constantly have to be proving yourself as worthy of being in that role. You can be the best programmer, but if you're a jerk, no one's going to want to hire you because these things, they get around. So when I, got the invitation to make this talk, I thought like, what were the things that I would have wanted to tell college game dev students when I was in game dev college? I went to St. Edward's University. It's Austin's other college, like a other college. We got that weird thing down to, I don't know what that is. But there's a game program. I was in it, and there were some, you could see in those classrooms like who was gonna stick around and like really go somewhere, and who maybe wasn't. Um, and I think that like a lot of that had to do with what I've distilled down in this talk as the three pillars of a successful games industry newcomer. And the first one of that is you got to be level headed. Don't be a gamer. All right, capital G gamer. You got to be well read. Okay. You got to know this medium inside and out. And you got to start now so you can grow together. So we're going to talk about be level headed. Number one, don't talk shit. All right. This is the easiest one. It's so easy. It's so easy. I like this picture of Idris Elba. There's a fellow on Blue Sky I follow. His name is Ben Pack. He used to work at a website called giantbomb.com. And Giant Bomb's a video game website. And anytime that there's games industry drama, Ben will just post this picture. And there's really dumb text, like typewriter text over it, that says, learn when to be silent. Sometimes silence is the best answer. And it's hilarious because why is it Idris Elba? Why is it contemplated Idris Elba? But it's true. It's good advice because you never know who you're going to work with. You never know how something's going to get back to you, and it's really just like not worth it. Like I don't think console wars is really a concept anymore. No one's like saying like, oh, the PlayStation's better, oh, the Xbox is better. I'll tell you what, it doesn't matter. It doesn't like nothing. Like as a consumer, yeah, you can have a favorite, right? But as a games industry professional, it doesn't matter. I was at there was a thing that was called E3, and it was where everyone went to go look at the new video games. I was showing a game at E3, and I went to a party that was hosted by Xbox. And there was a guy, it was on a rooftop, and it was, whoa, cool. And there was this guy who was in there, and it's just one of those things where you got a drink in your hand, and whoever you were talking to left long enough that someone else sneaks in, and this guy, asked me what I do. I said I was working on a game. We got a Game Pass deal coming up. Da, da, da. And he said, "Oh man, yeah, I want to make a game one day, and I want it to be on Game Pass. That'd be great." And I said, "Well, I mean, yeah, it could be. You wouldn't want to say no to PlayStation Plus though. If that's the avenue that came up." And he was like, "Oh no, I would. PlayStation's trash, bro. PlayStation's trash." It's like, okay, like, did someone pay you to say that here at this Xbox party? This is really weird because no one in the games industry thinks PlayStation's like. I mean, they might think it in their head if they have like a personal beef, but no one's going around, talking trash about one platform or another because that's just not the way anyone thinks in the video game space. I have a note here that PlayStation pays my salary just as much as Xbox does, just as much as Nintendo does, just as much as Valve does. Stadia never really did, but all those other ones, yeah, 100%. And yeah, that goes down to like games too, and game developers. Like that same round of interviews from that story. Remember that guy? Yeah, that same round of interviews. There's another one where a guy wanted to reference a game that he was, to make a point, and he referenced it and then said, "Oh, but that developer though, he's a real piece of shit." Just like in the middle of an interview, it's like, hey, I mean, like, I kind of agreed with him, but I'm not gonna like talk down about any game developer like mid-interview. It's just like not worth doing because if you're doing that upon first greeting, like, are you talking trash about your boss to the press? Are you talking trash about it? It just, you know, Don't talk shit. Level-headed tip number 2: there's no conspiracy. All right, there's no big gamer conspiracy. Anytime I see the phrase greedy devs are charging me too much for my skins. Hey, buddy, people are buying them. Like, it, no one would charge 50, 60, $100 for a skin if people didn't buy them. And yeah, like I'm not gonna buy it, but they're not like out to get you. There's no greedy devs. The same as like with people who want to, dunk on Sweet Baby or DEI or whatever. That's not real. It's not anything anyone ever thinks. And the second you try to play that card when you're inside the walls of a game studio, you're gonna be laughed out of the room, man. So yeah, they're not gonna make Mario a black woman. Like, these things don't happen. Tip number 3: you gotta be excited, but not too excited. That's me excitedly looking at Hatsune Miku, my crush. So this is gonna kind of like swing the other direction, and I'm gonna tell you, like, this is an amazing industry. It's our dream jobs. It's all of our dream jobs, and it's natural to be wowed by everything going on. But like, don't let the excitement of working in video games lead to anyone taking advantage of you or your labor or your time. You are worth something, and it is on you to like help us all make all this work. Um, the To put this in like a textbook phrase, there's a concept called passion exploitation. Hey, what's up? Yeah, are you looking for the ping pong rooms over there? They were really loud. Uh, yeah, there's the concept of passion exploitation, where you know, you can these companies can get away with paying someone less because they are really passionate about the job. The games industry is a pretty big place for this to happen. They can force low wages, long hours, and they could get rid of you because if you don't like it, you are replaceable because so many people also want this job, right? So don't let them do that. Work really hard, but when the time comes to put your foot down and make something, make a statement about how you deserve more, you should do that. I know people who are working at studios that they hate, but for some reason we will send them job applications and say, hey, you should like bump over to this place so I can stop hearing you complaining about this other studio. They just won't take it, whether it be out of convenience or not wanting to deal with it. You know, we can really raise the sea levels for all of us if we are all making these moves together to like even out the playing field and not let anyone get taken advantage of. And to put a bow on all of this, respect the process. Um, you just got to know that like you will never know the full story behind any game's development ever. Um, every game that ever comes out is a miracle of collaboration and technology and creativity and even like money being put into it, um, and even like things completely out of control of the game. There are so many unknown elements that can happen when a game is being developed that like if you think you know the story of a game's development and you want to you know deconstruct that on social media or amongst peers or like around game developers as you're entering you know professional networking events, things like that, like you got to realize that like man, there are like 9 extra layers to this story that like you don't know about. And you know if you aren't 100% certain that's how things went down, you could say in front of the wrong person and like really damage your reputation. I've been at conventions, showing off games. The game is like over my shoulder. I'm like talking about it to a group of people, and they will like try to tell me about something that happened while my game was being developed, and it's like wild. It's they'll try to. I had someone argue with me about the name of a video game once. It was like written on behind me. They're like, "Oh, that's not what the game is called." It's like, dude, I'm working on this. I think I know. So yeah, all this to say, you just kind of you gotta zen out, realize that like not every game development effort is going to be black and white. It's not the big, you know, journalistic Kotaku bombshell story. And you can just focus on like your successes and the things you know to be true. And that's a really good way to just kind of be level headed. I realize I've been talking a lot, and this is like a really information dense slide. Do you have any like questions? Is this the kind of lecture you have questions about, or should I just keep going? I'll just keep going. Okay. I duplicated this slide for some reason. Weird. Okay. So now we got the be well read part. Number one, follow some quality sources. So this bit right here is probably like the number one piece of advice I give to any incoming game developer is to really like be critical of where you get your game's information from. When I was in game college, the thing that like really made me grind my teeth was when people would say like, "Oh, I don't trust game journalists. I only trust this one big time streamer named Dr. Armpit, and Dr. Armpit, he's the one who knows his facts and he speaks truth to power. And game journalists are paid off and wasting your time. This is the only guy who's like doing it for real." Um, that's wild. Like I don't like games journalists are not your enemy. Um, they are writing if they are writing for a legitimate outlet, which most of them are. Um, they are bound by an internal code of ethics. They are going to have checks and balances in place to not be this corrupt thing that like so many wild message board conversations I see think they are. Um, Streamers are quite literally the opposite of that. Content creators. Um, we like game publishers, game developers pay streamers and content creators to play their games and have positive opinions about their games. This is not a secret. And you know, this is great too. Like we love streamers, we appreciate the relationships we have with them. But it is somehow these things got flipped, and people believed the opposite of what the truth is. Um, streamers are entertainment. You know, they are not this critical, unbiased look into the game space. They're WWE wrestling. They are like entertainment television. They are not the news. So with that in mind, I think you should follow some really high quality games industry sources to be well read on what is happening in the world of video games. And the number one person I recommend to follow there is this guy. His name is Jeff Gersman. Is anyone familiar with Jeff? Ooh, cool. Okay, so Jeff is a longtime games critic. He got started in the late 90s, and he now is an independent journalist. He founded the website Giant Bomb, which Giant Bomb essentially pioneered a lot of modern technologies that we all take for granted. The Giant Bombcast was like the highest rated games podcast for years, like for a very, very long time. And also Giant Bomb were kind of the pioneers of like the long form let's play. I'm not gonna say they're the first, but they, you know, had a successful business in charging subscriptions. Uh, you know, I used to pay $60 a year for Giant Bomb just to watch guys sit on a couch and play all the way through Persona 4. Like they really were like the cornerstone for that concept as a whole. And so Jeff now is on his own. He's got a podcast again. It is just him, so it's a little bit awkward. He's not like talking to anyone, but it's you know I listen to it every week with the same level of excitement that I listened to those IGN podcasts all those years ago. It's a really long podcast every week. You can go up to 3.5 hours, but it is great for the commute, for walking to class. I really, really recommend it. And if reading is your game, if you know how, videogameschronicle.com is a great place for games news. So those two places. Also, like the r/games subreddit is good. Just don't open the comments. Um, those three spots are really my top recommendations for where you should get your games news. So my next well-read tip is play some variety. Um, a few weeks ago, I got texted by a friend I went to high school with, and she asked me like, "Hey, I got a coworker. She's always wanted to work in video games. Do you think you could talk to her and give her some advice on like how to get started in the business?" And I replied back, and I was like, "Well, sure, I could, but games there's a lot of different kind of avenues you can go down. Like, if you could ask her what discipline she wants to work in, I can try to like get her in front of somebody who can give her some good advice." And I saw the little bubbles pop up in the text message, and they disappeared. And they popped up, and they disappeared. And when the message finally came through, it said, "Oh yeah, she said she wants to like come up with new Pokemon." Right? So that's not a job. I mean, it is. There is someone who does that, but they live in Japan and they work for the Pokemon Company, which is an incredibly insular culture inside of an insular company. Like, respectfully to her coworker, that is not going to happen. Um, and I think like that kind of mindset can be avoided if you really like try as hard as you can to end up playing as many different kinds of games as you can. The truth is, you are more than likely not going to work for a studio that makes your favorite game or even your favorite genre. Like, if you really want to get into the games industry, I'm not going to say you're going to like settle, but you're going to have to work on projects that you don't necessarily want to work on. And I think like how you can combat that, early on, you know, is by playing as many games as you can. Um, Sorry, I wrote a lot of notes here that don't make any sense. Um, so like, I'm not saying to like not have your favorite regular games. Like I play 2 to 3 games of Counter Strike every week for the past 15 years, but you should try to have something new coming across your desk every like 2 weeks or so. Like try to play something new, something fresh a few times a month. And I'm not saying you should have to finish it, but this variety is what's going to like really get you ready to like be ready to work on any game. A lot of people who I went to college with really wanted to like be the Zelda guy or be the first person shooter guy. Um, I've had to look for jobs 3 different times so far in my 8 year career, and every single one of them were completely different kinds of games, and I felt ready for it because I at least had some cursory knowledge of it. Um, I always say that like working in games um, is the dream, but like the real like lottery winning ticket is being able to work on a game you would actually play. But I know what you're thinking. Playing that many games, that sounds really expensive. And I'm glad there are no professors here because this next tip is do what you have to do. All right. So, unless something radically changed about college, I'm going to assume that most of y'all are pretty poor. I was in college too, and that's okay. You can get read up on the entire history of video games without paying a dime. Um, it doesn't change whenever you get in the industry. It's an open secret. Every single games industry professional has a flash drive or an SD card or a desktop folder that's just chock full of ROMs, and you should too. The first 30 years of video game history takes up less disk space than like Clair Obscur. Like, just get as many games as you can. I am not going to tell you where to get them, but you know what to do. There's someone in here who you can count on who can send you some links. Um, Download some ROMs. Don't do it on the school internet. Do it when you go to your parents' house or whatever. And put them on your phone. There's, RetroArch is on iPhones now. Get one of those, like, I've got one of those little Chinese handheld emulator things. It's great. I can just load it up with anything. And it's, you know, games industry professionals are researching when they play these games. It looks like a waste of time, but like you are, learning about the history of video games. Grab, Kirby's Dream Course on the Super Nintendo and see what a really cool golf game is like. You know, grab MAME, the multiple arcade machine emulator, download this game called Windjammers, and learn that no one's made a good multiplayer game since 1993. That's the best game there is. Um, I just have in all caps, play Final Fantasy VII. um, but I mean, if you still want to do all this and stay on the straight and narrow and not get freaky with it, you can, do stuff here at home too that's cheap or even still free. Uh, Go to the Cidercade. Who Cidercade? Anybody? Yeah, that should be every hand. It's the best. Right there on Riverside. Um, it's awesome. They $20, all you can play. That is your museum. That's your history textbook. Um, and another great thing you do is grab some friends in here and start like a Steam family share library and start sharing all your Steam games. Me and some games industry buddies have one together, and one guy will say, "Oh, hey, I got invited to be a judge for the GDC awards, so every game that comes out this year is just on your Steam account now. Have fun." Whoa, holy shit. Um, yeah, I think I was looking yesterday, and I think my Steam account has 4,500 games entitled to it, just because we all share it with each other. So yeah, work with your friends, work together, because it's playing games, it's fun, but also it is like you should be playing as many games as possible. As a lawyer, I'd advise you to stop talking. No, yeah, I mean, yes, you're right. Like, uh, in practice, emulation is not legal so long as there's a backup of a game that you own. Completely separate question: when was the last time someone knocked on your door and asked to see your video games to make sure you own them? I saw a little hand over here. Yeah. Yeah, it's case by case basis, right? Like some emulators are caught using BIOS files that they weren't entitled to use. Other systems can be, reverse engineered, or they can write their own BIOS files that has not a single line of code in common. There's things like uh, the FPGA systems, like the Mister, or like Analog is a company that makes like replica consoles, and they are using their own kind of code to bypass or even replicate BIOS. So, um, all this to say, uh, it has never been an easier time to do this. Used to be you had to jump through hoops and somehow talk to a guy wearing a trench coat through the internet. Like you couldn't see him, but you knew he was wearing a trench coat, and that's how you do it. But yeah, RetroArch is a really good place to start. Um, yeah, acquiring the files is the tricky part, but do what you have to do. Lastly, what did I write here? Oh yeah. Oh man. Okay, this one's a doozy, and I don't want this to be like scary. But if you're gonna work in video games, you got to get ready to change your relationship to them. Um, Going from fan to professional, um, I no longer get excited about upcoming video games. I don't watch Nintendo Directs, but if I do watch a Nintendo Direct, it is because I am nervous that another game is going to come out from under one of our games and be too mechanically similar, and we're going to get in second place. And I watch them out of fear now. Um, you know, it used to be that during a busy day, I would be like tapping my toe and doodling in my journal and like dreaming about the moment that I could get home and play a video game. But nowadays, since my days are filled with video games, uh, I dream of like falling asleep and watching The Bachelor. So, you know, this isn't something I'm trying to tell you to like scare you, but it's more to say that like when video games become your job, you need to find another hobby. And that's the best game developers to be around are the guys who video games are their second favorite thing, and rock climbing is their first favorite thing, or musicals, or cars, or whatever. Because the best games, every game is inspired by another game or inspired by another thing, but the best games come from people who have so much time put into something else that they can really draw from that. So get ready. I'm not gonna say you're not gonna hate video games. I still play video. I'm gonna play video games after this talk, but it's just different. It's different. Any questions on any of these? Okay, last pillar. Start now. So, whatever avenue you want to go down with video games, I'm sure every person who's come in is giving you this advice. But whatever avenue you're going to go down, start doing it right now. I'll encounter people who, I think are capable of working in the game space, but time passed them by and they said, "Oh, I was always going to make this game I wanted to make, but I never did." And it's just snowballs. It's like, "Oh, I don't have a portfolio, so I can't get a job, but I can't get a job because I don't have a portfolio and this, that." So, you are never going to have more free time and more access to technology and like-minded people that also have free time than you do right now. And, I think being here in this room, I don't even need to say this, right? You guys are spending time here on a Thursday night, not going out, not drinking. It's really lame, guys. You guys got to get out of here. No, you're already thinking about it, but it can be something as small. I consider running a Minecraft server to be a form of community management because it is. You are making sure people are happy and having fun. And if someone wants a mod, you're weighing the pros and cons, and running a Discord server, something that small. I've hired people based off their experience of just running Discord servers and running Minecraft servers. But you just got to be doing it. You can't be thinking about doing it. You got to do it. So yeah, get that itch.io page started and make a Pico 8 game. But most importantly, just do it and do it loud and tie it to yourself, which takes me to my next pillar, which is join Blue Sky. I put Blue Sky here. This is really any social media that allows you to be amplified beyond an enclosed space. So I'm keeping Discord out of it uh, because I don't see Discord really as a tool for promotional growth. Um, but whatever the hotness is, I believe there are a lot of games industry professionals on Blue Sky, and I think there's a lot of garbage on Twitter. So join Blue Sky if you haven't already. Start following games industry people that you admire, and then see what the algorithm recommends and follow them too, and get to chatting with them because if everyone's got social media, everyone's making a version of them online, of themselves online, but you really need to kind of be in a space where you can be retweeted or you can be broadcast. Every single job I've gotten in the games industry has been because of Twitter or Blue Sky. I don't have a LinkedIn. Uh, I I'm not gonna tell you not to get a LinkedIn, but it's never proved useful for me. And every time I get on it, it's just people saying the most robotic stuff about concepts that don't make sense, and it's crazy. But Blue Sky is really good. It's where a lot of the games industry went after Twitter's implosion. So get on Blue Sky. Next bit of oh yeah, sorry, yeah, what's up? Whatever you're working on, if what kind of is there any part of game development you're most interested in? Yeah. So if you're making a cool track for there doesn't have to be a game attached. If you put together a cool song, put it on Blue Sky, record the timeline and say, hey, this song is called so and so. I made it. Take a look and just see where it goes. I get exposed to so much cool stuff going on in the game space just because someone I follow retweeted it into my feed, and yeah, um, I would. It's interesting. My last PAX, every convention I go to, I get approached by game dev students, and it wasn't until this last PAX all of them wanted to be my friend on Discord, and I didn't I don't why, no offense, but I was just I can't help you. I can if you ask me to follow you on Blue Sky, I can retweet you, I can repost you. If you want to be my friend on Discord, we could talk, but like I can't push you out into the world on Discord. So yeah, any social media app that allows you to become amplified is one to kind of make your home base, I would say. So we got look up, focus on the side to side. So this is a bit of advice I like to give uh, because I see a lot of like fresh faced game people really want to like ride the coattails of successful game devs and like, you know, oh, I got into, I work at so and so company now, and I'm gonna just I'm gonna say Bethesda and Todd Howard. Let's just say that. Oh, I work at Bethesda now, and I'm gonna, Todd Howard. I'm gonna go to dinner at Todd Howard's house. Todd Howard, Todd Howard, Todd Howard. It's like, dude, he's got 20, 50, 100 people just like you who are also thinking and saying that. And where like real kind of success comes from is not like trying to like slingshot off of Todd Howard in your first year of making games, but it is looking at the other people who join the company who are your age, right, alongside you, and know that when the time is right, you guys are going to be leveraging each other to like really get stuff done. Um, there's apart from like feeling good, there's no reason for a guy like Todd Howard to help you out, and that's okay. Like I'm not calling him a bad guy. It's just like he doesn't have anything to gain from that. He's already at the top. Why would he do it? But everyone in this room, you're gonna graduate and you're gonna like call each other up and be like, "Hey, I saw you had an opening. Hey, I was in your wedding." Like all that good stuff. Like, so just remember that like it's really about the side to side and not looking up. Definitely have mentors. They can teach you a lot, and they can probably get you places too. But don't like go into it with the agenda that they're gonna be how you rocket to the top of the games industry. Um, I also have a little note here. I had a mentor in the game space, Felix Kramer, great person. Does anyone play Gang Beasts? Heard of it? Oh, yeah. The one in the back. Yeah, Felix voices the Green Gang Beast, and that's always my favorite little um, factoid. But Felix taught me everything I know about, you know, how to exist in games. Um, and a few years into knowing them, I said like, hey, like, I consider myself nobody in games, and Felix reached out and like helped me get my first like real big job. Um, and I said like, hey, why did you pick me? Like I saw you like in this space, and I see other people like talking to you. There were plenty of other college students who you could have mentored. Like, why did you pick me? And Felix said like, oh, it was simple. I met Felix at a convention, and I went up. I introduced myself. We chatted for a bit, and then I walked away. And Felix said, the fact that you walked away is the thing that set you apart from like every other game dev student. Because every other game dev student, I would have to excuse. I would have to say like, you know, okay, great to meet you. Run along now. Bye bye. And Felix said, when it came to me, I respected their time. I acknowledged that I admired their work in the games industry, and then I took the initiative to leave them alone. And when time comes for you to find someone to mentor you, or whether you're assigned it or whatever, the most important thing I can tell you is remember that they got their own stuff going on, and they're their own person. Respect their time and leave them feeling like they want to hang out with you more than you desperately want to hang out with them. And then what's the last one? Fake it till you make it. I'm a huge proponent of fake it till you make it. You can tell by my humble beginnings with IGN, where I lied about my age. Um, but as I like matured and grew, I realized that fake it till you make it. Like I thought it meant like you should be lying until you've duped everyone, and then you will assume your new persona, and that's when the fun can begin. That is not what fake it till you make it means. It is much more. You got to act like you belong because you do, and you got to get over yourself. And now that I've said that out loud, I realize I sound like a motivational speaker, and we're going to take it on through the end where I'm going to hit you even harder with motivational single phrases. Video games are great, but before you will ever sell a video game in your life, you need to sell yourself as someone who deserves to be in this space, because there are thousands of other people who want it just as bad as you do, and you gotta be better than them. So, how you take from community, or how you take from video games, how you give back to video games, it's all community, all right? This whole thing is a community. You got to be a great part of that community. Take it on. Enjoy. This was a pre-installed graphics package. It's like a theme. Thought it looked really cool. It was about skateboards originally, and I changed it to this. But thank you so much. There's my blue sky down there. You just type Harris.zone into your Safari browser or whatever you got. It'll take you right to my blue sky page. Thank you. Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm going to hang out here. Do we have any questions? This can be about the talk. It can be about community management, which I really didn't get into. Yeah, what's up? Yeah. Oh, that's a great question. So if that didn't get picked up on the mic, he asked, "How did I get outed as a middle schooler when I was making the IGN GameScoop game?" I posted about it on my MySpace, and I tagged IGN. And then my artist who was working on the game was like, "Hey, why does this junior high student have your name?" And I was like, "Oh, it's because it's me." Now the crazy thing is my voice has been this deep since I was like in 5th grade. I don't know what's wrong with me. But so we would do like voice calls and stuff. Like we were hanging out in, it was AOL Instant Messenger at the time. But my dumb ass was like, but see, it was all, if only I had listened to my own talk, right? If I kept my mouth shut. And no, it was all just like me being so excited about making a video game and not actually making it that I blabbed too hard and I ruined the whole thing. But I mean, I'm so thankful that, you know, all of it happened at all. So I don't regret any part of it. But yeah, all just lessons to learn. And because you asked a question, you get to come pull a game out of the free games envelope. Come on up. Free video games. What? All these games are provided by, aka I stole from, the Devolver Master Key Vault. So it's really easy to pick duplicates, so don't. Okay. There you go. These are all on Steam, by the way. I hope you have a computer. What'd you get? Baby steps. Woo! Now we all got questions, huh? Yeah, what's up? Okay. I conducted interviews for a job we have open, yeah. It all depends on the role and like the level of experience we're looking for. This was a senior role, so this we were looking at people who had like 5 to 7 years of experience for this particular role. But so I mean, like for students, there's AAA studios will have internships and things like that that are much more geared towards like fresh out of college students. Um, I interned at Houston's only game studio before it shut down for a summer. That was called, they had two names. It was Gray Box under the parent company of 6 Foot. And 6 Foot got money from making DVD menus. And they had a Hall of Fame in their break room with like the DVD menu for Goodfellas, like framed, which is like play movie, chapter select. Like, okay. Anyway, that was a tangent. Yeah, I have not, at this point in my career, I have not sat in on any incoming interviews that would qualify for someone fresh out of college. But there was one candidate who applied for this most recent job who wasn't quite qualified. She, I would say she had 3 3 years experience. And keep in mind that 3 years can be working for a professional company, or it could be doing it all on your own time. It could be I run a successful Twitch channel, and successful in that case can mean like I stream 3 nights a week. I don't really have many followers, but I'm consistent. And so, long story short, we had another spot open up that I'm not involved in, but I directed her towards that spot, and we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I feel like I rambled a little bit. Have I kind of answered your question?
Yes, I do have a somewhat follow-up question.
Yeah.
If you're only planning, say you're planning on doing just music,
Sure.
A portfolio would not be required to have made a full game, but if you've worked on multiple games, not many, but
Yeah.
some games, they're just the thing that you do, and not the full game.
So using music as an example, you just need to have a portfolio chock full of tracks. And in video games, music can be dynamic, and if you can prove that you know the way to, change a song if you're in combat, or, obviously this is not like my exact department, but like for music in particular, they're looking for MP3s, baby. That's all you need. Yeah, it doesn't have to be associated with a game. A lot of really great game composers, are movie composers first, game composers second. Cool. You want your free game? Come on up. No, you don't have to. I mean, this is not something you should say in front of a classroom full of college students. Like, you don't have to go to college to work on video games. No one. I've never been asked for my college degree. It's never come up, ever. You should stay here. You should finish college. But yeah, here, come on in. But yeah, going to college helps. It proves that you can finish something. What'd you get? Four strike. That's an awesome karate game. Thanks. You can hang on to that. Yeah. Nice. Hell yeah. Well, yeah. That's another copy. If I see that on G2A, I'm suing you. Yes.
When you said play a lot of games in your presentation, is there anything specific you look for, or when you think about when you're playing those games as a game development professional?
Great question. The reason for that piece of advice is because when you get into the room and you're making games, everything is filtered through, just like in blank. Oh, we should do the fishing just like in Stardew Valley. If you know what that's about, you know what that's about. If not, you got to take a little time and figure out what Stardew Valley is about. And so it's all about just knowing as much as you can about the games and what has happened and what could happen. You don't want to get into a scenario where you're designing a game and you're 1.5 years in only to find out oh, this is just the multiplayer from Halo 5. I'm just remaking, someone already did this. So the reason I like to tell folks to play as many games as possible is so that once you're there, you can keep up, and everyone's constantly being oh, we should do this. Oh, well, we can't do that because Hades did it, or it didn't work well in this. We shouldn't put an FPS on horseback. There's tons of things like that. Does that answer your question? Yeah. Cool. Game time. Come on up. We don't have to clap every time. Also, that was weird. I don't know why y'all did that. Any other questions I can answer? Yeah.
Let's say you're, I guess speaking from the game programmer side of looking at people's portfolios. So let's say you have candidates that, they kind of have all the general tips, doing a lot of game jams and game projects.
Okay.
Yeah. What are specific things beyond I guess what a lot of people already know that you would look at?
Sorry, I was distributing keys. Say again.
Basically I was saying beyond for the gameplay programming side of things, programmers, besides typical things them making a lot of games,
yeah,
your projects and stuff like that. What are other things maybe you look at?
For game programmers?
Yeah.
I do not interface with the programming side. I know that it's not uncommon for programmers to have to do tests as part of their interviews. So they're given a problem and they're asked to solve it. And this could be either viewed live by the interviewer or it's turned in later. But you know, it seems like there's a lot more like right and wrong with what they're looking for in terms of programming because like you can either do the thing or not, I guess. I like that's my game development thing is like, dude, the second you open a terminal line or codes, I'm out. Like I don't get it. But and I'm sorry I can't answer your question better. What I will say is, if anyone ever asks you to do one of these tests, you should, you know, you deserve to be paid for that time because your time is valuable. Um, so look into, you know, rates on how much you would charge an hour to do one of these tests. And sometimes studios offer that proactively. Sometimes it's on you to negotiate that. Um, but yeah, I wish I could tell you more. I'm sorry. Free video game time. Who else? Did you have anything?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's up?
I've kind of got two questions actually. The first one is, I guess, as a community manager, I suppose what sort of things do you like to see in a developer that like makes them easy to work with?
Yeah, that's a great question. Um, I think like sometimes a developer really thinks like, hey, I know what's best for my game. I'm the director. I'm, you know, it's I'm not going to listen to a community manager. I'm not going to listen to the community. And other times they are like overly receptive to the community and they want to try to make the game that people want. And like they are no longer like it's, you know, game development by committee by like the fans. So like striking a balance between, you know, listening to a community manager, like that's, you know, like I mentioned with the Flaming Soldier, my job is to kind of like filter out like what is worth coming to a developer for. So by the time it's like coming from me to a developer, I would hope that like they're willing to listen to and act on the things I'm saying are like worth acting on. Um, and sometimes the developer can like spend too much time, you know, staring into the corrupted orb of the Steam forums and like, you know, saying like, oh, we should be doing this because that's what the fans want. I've worked the job long enough where I'm like, no, that's you don't have to do that. So just kind of like, you know, I guess your question is, what's the thing a developer can do that makes you most happy? And my answer is, listen to me. Just you know, just listen to me. Um, yeah. Yeah. Does that answer? Is that good?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the second one as well.
Yeah. You don't get two Steam keys.
But it was, I guess, what if you know, like, how do most games end up getting picked by Devolver, especially if it's like not something that people are aware of until like a publisher like puts
Yeah.
it out there.
So there's a lot of different ways. We have we use Slack for our internal messaging communications. We have a channel where games that pique our interest come through, and that can either be uh, from a pitch deck. Have y'all like? Is there part of your curriculum where you're like making a pitch deck? Have y'all done that? Little, yeah, maybe.
It's more of like a, I feel like game design, you know, like at UT is
Uh,
really complicated because there's three main paths you can take. You take CS, RTF, or AET, which is the fine arts path.
uh,
Pitch decks is I think is more of a communications RTF kind of
sure,
thing.
sure. Okay, okay. So a pitch deck being like, hey, here's 10 slides that kind of outline the tone of our game, and here's like a trailer maybe, and here's maybe an early build, here's what we're going for, here's some inspirations. Those come into us via email also. Um, and then also we can just see stuff on TikTok or on Twitter and we notice there's no publisher and we reach out to them and we say, hey, like this caught our eye, you know, and like what is the here, come get this thing, man. Come on. Yeah, no, it's okay. Come on. Did you already get one? Yeah, get out of here. So, but like, what is a Devolver game, right? Like, how, like, why do we pick what we pick? Um, and it's 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 not really something you can like measure. And if it is, I have not like found that document file in our Google Drive. But it's really like it's like you just know it when you see it. You know, it's like, oh, this has the Devolver vibe. Um, and Devolver's kind of branching out too in the last few years. Like I've started working at Devolver, so I 2 years ago I got signed on at Big Fan, which is Devolver's new label for licensed games. So that's anything of an existing properties. That's Disney. That's a bunch of stuff we haven't announced yet. But our biggest one so far is we did a John Wick game, a Hellboy game. Those are all under the Big Fan label. Things that already exist. And then Devolver, I hopped onto about a year ago. So I'm, even though I'm still trying to like figure out what the Devolver vibe is, but I've had my eye on them for a while. And really in the last 2 years or so, it's really like opened up. They did like the Plucky Squire, which is like kind of family friendly. Um, they did Piku Niku. Some Devolver games are like so innocent that you're like wondering when it's going to go wrong, but then it's like genuine and you're surprised by how earnest it is. So yeah, long story short, like it's every game that comes through, we have the opportunity as a company to like talk about it. We make a Slack thread for every single game that we're interested in, and no one's expecting you to have a take on every game, but we try to play and talk about as many games as we can come through, and a lot come through.
I guess you can email them and then see if it goes somewhere.
Yeah, that's like probably like your best chance at like getting seen by them. You don't want to like try to like push it to social media and like hope that one of us see it. But yeah, there's like I think on the website there's like a page specifically for like, hey, pitch us your game. Here you go. Yeah. Did you get your key yet?
No.
No? Here, I'm gonna lean forward. You'll get a.
There's a good chance I already own most of these.
Well, thank you for your patronage. I appreciate it. Just grab one of those in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
What'd you get?
Ball pit.
Ball pit, the most popular one. Give it to a friend or something. I don't know.
Anyone want ball pit?
That was a question, right? Or okay. Well, no. She's gonna get a game. She doesn't get ball pit. I mean, I don't know, man. There's no rules here. Secret's out. I'm gonna give everybody a key. Relax. Yeah. Do you have Four Strike?
Yes.
What? Really? No one bought Four Strike.
I'm the guy who buys the games.
Monster Train 2.
I don't have that.
Okay, here you go. Monster Train 2. Yes, of course. What's your question? Hi. Cool. Yeah. Totally. Yeah. No. So it all depends on how big of a studio you're a part of. So I worked at Finji, which is a tiny, tiny, tiny operation, right? It's quite literally a family-run game studio. Adam and Becca Saltzman, who Adam was a guest professor as a part of this program. He taught like a whole semester, like in the early 2010s, as a part of this program. Um, so that company is so small. They got a very small budget. There's no way they could afford someone whose only job is translator, right? Um, whereas Devolver is so big on the indie space that we've got a whole China team. We've got one guy in Japan. We've got one guy in Brazil. We got this, and so that's big company has large amount of games coming out every year. They can justify having translators for the most popular regions. So what Finji would do as a small company is they would hire out translating firms, or if they wanted to publish a game in native Japanese, they would contract with one company or even like sometimes one guy to handle all of that. Um, I will say that translation services in video games are incredibly lucrative. They are, if you can do it, I think you should. Um, One, because it's so rare to find someone who has these skills, and two, because a lot of the times these services are run by people who don't really care all that much, or they're just trying to make a quick buck. And if you can do it and do it well, um, you can go really far. I think See, this. I should follow my own advice, and oh, that's so many slides back. I should respect the process because I'm not entirely sure about this, but I'm pretty sure. Do you know Bill Trennan at Nintendo? He's the guy with the glasses, the white guy. He's in Nintendo Direct sometimes. He's way high up at Nintendo, and I think a big part of that is just because he speaks fluent Japanese and he works at the American office, so he was able to like climb really high up because that is a very useful skill. He's also, I'm sure, a very good businessman, but he's always credited in games as like localization director or something like that. Um, I'm pretty sure that's his story. And you got your game already, so cool. Any other follow up questions? Good. Cool. Okay. Yeah. Someone. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to ask this one after you said something about don't talk shit, but I got too shy to ask.
Okay.
Like, what would you define as like a bad digital footprint? Like, I lay awake at night sometimes thinking about this shit, or I may or may not
Yeah.
have posted when I was 14 years
Yeah.
old, like somewhere in the bowels of the internet. So like what should you cut back on, or like refrain from posting on the internet?
Yeah. I'm taking a long time to think about this because I'm like, damn, you're so right. I've been there. Let's say I've been there. Because like, yeah, like, you know, I was of the first generation where social media, like I was of the first generation, like social media was like always been around for you guys for the most part, right? Hi, what's up? Hi. Social media has mostly been around for you guys for as long as you can remember. I remember a time before it. I remember a time after it. And I got it a little too early. I was saying some stupid shit. And it, like, at one point, I said something that got enough traction that people went back and they dug up some of the stupid shit I said. And I was like, oh, God, like a crisis. Um, so, like, the fact that you're conscious of that tells me that you don't really have all that much to worry about. People who do have something to worry about are the ones who think they've got nothing wrong going on. So someone who's self-conscious about it and wants to be, you know, sure that things are going well, that's already a step ahead. I would say if you are comfortable with it, just and it's like I thought about this for a while, and at the end of the day, nothing of value was lost, and that is just go pay the $5 for a service that deletes all of your tweets, all your Facebook posts, whatever, and just delete everything before 2020 or whatever, whenever you want to make it. Just delete it all. You're not going to miss anything. Your new life starts now. You still keep all your followers. Get rid of it. It's fine. Don't look me up. Free game. Come on over. But yeah, I mean, that digital footprint is, I mean, like, yeah, you know, don't tweet out nudes or racial slurs or I don't know. I don't need to explain that to you. You know what that is. Cool. Monster Train 2. Hell yeah. Nice. Yeah.
How would you introduce a game to someone who's seen the fan base and say they're very toxic and loud? And so, how would you introduce or try to allure them to play the game even though they have such a big reputation?
Yeah. Like so like to rephrase that, like I'm hired on as the community manager for a game with a toxic fan base. Like how do I bring new people in?
Yes.
Okay. Are you I'm curious what prompts this question because people seem to think I don't know.
I think there's some implication, but I'm not.
Okay. I mean that sometimes you just got to work with what you got. Um, Community managers set the standard for a game's kind of tone and conduct and morality system, um, and that I mean, you know, banning people on the internet is a really effective tool, but it's on the community manager to set those standards. So, you know, I think it's really interesting how some games will censor the term GG easy, but not the N word. I think that's crazy. I think that's insane. Um, so I think someone on the community team needs to have a long talk about like why they made that decision. Um, and you know, the best thing you can do is lead by example and like lay down the rules. And if they want to like fight back against it, like I can't think of a time when a community abandoned a game because they decided to like clean up the trash, you know, clean up the foul kind of atmosphere around it. Um, yeah. You already asked a question. Have you asked a question yet? Okay, go for it. And I can probably only take like a couple more of these. What's up?
Two short questions. First one's actually kind of related to yours. When I signed up for like social media and stuff, my parents had the foresight to make me use like an alias and completely separate myself from that identity. But now I kind of have the opposite problem where I did a bunch of cool stuff with the development under that identity, and I want to make it kind of like start owning that for my professional side.
Yeah.
How do you kind of like keep those two separate but connect what you did under that like alias? What would you recommend?
I mean, it all just depends on like how you want to be out there. Like if you want to be out there under that alias, that's totally common, right? Like local funk made Balashro. I don't know his real name. I might have even like met him at something and I wouldn't have known it. And that's what he wants. If you want to be, you know, first name, screen name, last name, you can do that. I think there's a lot of power and value in someone having a screen name that represents them. Oh man, the coolest thing happened. Earlier this week, a game came out called, oh, I want to make sure I know, it's Aerial Knights Drop Shot. Now, this video game could just be called Drop Shot, but this dev was like, no, this game is called Aerial Knights Drop Shot because I'm Aerial Knight, and this is my game. And he's put out a few games, all called Aerial Knights Game. That's the coolest goddamn thing anyone's ever done. He's like, hey, no, you're gonna know my name, and it's Aerial Knights Drop Shot. You're gonna play it, and that one's on Game Pass, and I want to play it as soon as I can. So yeah, I say own it, especially if you already have a following. If if you're starting from scratch, it's just on you whether or not you want to keep the ball rolling or if you want to be first name, last name.
And then, completely unrelated question, but you mentioned in your presentation that some of the other tools that like kind of like relate to community management, how they like a Discord server,
Yep.
running a Minecraft server you mentioned as well. I have a lot of friends that do those things at very high level. Like I have my best friend, actually, she runs the Deltarune speedrunning community.
Oh, tight.
So, and she's like thinking about what she wants to do in college. Is community management something that you would think is like a suitable career, and like how's that?
Perfect. That is a perfect transition for them, especially if they like, you know, feel like they don't have, you know, the chops. I mean, if they don't gel with any other discipline, I think they are doing community management and they might not even recognize it right now. And yeah, I would say that that's a pretty easy, that's a pretty compelling thing because Deltarune fans are wild. My friend Fred works on Deltarune and he can't like he has to the stuff I hear. And yeah, the fact that your friend has to manage Deltarune fans is no easy task. So yeah, I would say community is well suited. Yeah. Is this like a my friend kind of thing where it's actually you? Or is it?
No.
Oh, okay, all right.
Someone I went to high school with.
Cool. Come get your game. Was there one? Okay. Oh, I can probably. Okay, these are the last two. Super dry first.
I have a question about how hard is it to pivot into the industry after being in another industry for a while? Like for me, I want to be in this one industry.
Okay.
And then maybe with enough time to I want to pivot.
Yeah.
into games.
What is the industry you want to get into first?
Like live technology.
I mean, you can do live event technology in games. We have a dedicated live event person at Devolver. There's so much live event production in video games. Every esports event is a directed stage show, and maybe it's a video broadcast show. You know, conventions and awards and this that. If you can find a way to make yourself a compelling person that understands both of these things, I mean, do that. And like, yeah, especially in video games where, you know, like the live video game presentation, like it's such a specialized version of event production, like to capture a competitive League of Legends match or something like that. It's so different from, it's like its own thing. So like, I would say, you know, if that's what you want to do, focus on broad live event production, and then when the time comes to get a job, say, hey, I'm actually a better candidate than these generalist live event production people because I also know a thing or two about the game that I would be potentially producing for. To go into video games, I mean, from that, it all depends on where you end up, portfolio stuff. If you can be making video games and like doing the video game development that you want to be doing while producing live events, that's great. But if I were in your position, I would just be like the best damn live video game event producer. Come on, get your game. And then last one, yeah.
How involved would you say like a community manager is with like proposing like kind of like game balance that kind of you get info on like people wanting stuff up. So like how involved would you say you are like kind of communicating that or like even proposing like content that the community wants?
Yeah. I almost included this image in the slides, but I couldn't find the right spot to put it, which is I saw this. I'm going to call it a philosophy, but it came from an anime screenshot, PFP tweet. So I guess they're a philosopher. It was this 3-sentence phrase that I think really sums up exactly what you're asking about in community feedback, which is players are always right about the way they feel. They're always right about the way they feel. They might not be right about why it's making them feel that way. And they are never right about how to solve it. So, say it again. They're always right about how they feel. The way they feel is correct. They might not be right about why they're feeling that way. And the suggestions they provide on how to solve it is never correct. And so that says to me, like, it is, as a community manager, it is my job to keep my ear to the ground and see how the community is reacting to things. And they might have their own suggestions on how to fix these things. But it has never really worked out for me to say like, oh, hey, this guy says maybe you should change the value of this sniper rifle or whatever, and that would fix it. That's irrelevant. I can just tell the devs like, hey, something doesn't feel right with this part of the game. Can you look into it? And then they'll take the rest from there. They'll see it. They'll say like, oh, yeah, actually the sniper rifle's damage is off. We'll tune it. Or they'll be like, oh, we accidentally had this map is not supposed to have wind, but it has wind and now bullets are curving, and we didn't anticipate that. So yeah, as a community manager, you're going to be the person to sift through. If you see these things popping up commonly, or if you look at someone's report, you can see like, oh wait, this does seem genuine. You can look into it. But otherwise, yeah, the devs generally know how their game should perform, and they'll run with it. Yeah. Cool. Free game. Come on up. And everyone gets a free game. I might be out of code by the time we get through everybody though, so we're gonna see. Okay. I don't know why I had you come up. Everyone gets a code. I'm just gonna dole them out. Yeah. Force right? Yeah. Nice. Okay. Just like keep your hand slightly up if you haven't gotten a code yet. I'm just gonna drop them off. Okay. And then whoever needs to like take it away, I'm done. So thanks for having me, guys. Yay!